Right. So, item number 1, apologies for reasons for absence. I think we're all. So, none of those. We have item number 2, declaration of members' interest and applications for dispensation. Does anyone have any interests or applications for dispensation? Councillor Brooks.
I'd like to give notice of a motion that I would like to bring in relation to the Victoria Hall proposals.
Okay, you're giving notice.
Yeah.
So, is that your notice?
That's my notice. Do you want me to say it now?
No, you can give it at the councillor's report questions and you can have a 3-minute window there to let us know.
When?
Councillor's reports and questions.
Have they moved it to their motion?
We'll cover your query under councillor's reports and questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Item number 5. Okay, item number 3, deputations from members of the public. Would anyone care to share any words or thoughts and conversation? No, we'll just hear the show. Item number 4, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 25th of March. Does anyone have any? Councillor Brooks, go ahead.
We seem to have gone back to not sending out the minutes for checking, so we have very sloppy minutes again. One of the points, which I've lost that page, that shows I'm not perfect, should say that the insurance should be reviewed by council at least 3 months, it says there, which is just a typo. The other things I'm not going to list, but I would like it to go back to the minutes being sent out to us all, so we don't have to stand up and look as if we're in a complete mess, please, because it was good. But if I can refer to one of the biggest messes, which is minute number 4, 26-13, it looks like the clerk eventually, unfortunately, withdrew, rather than saying that the contractor, Plantscape, withdrew their application the week before. So it just doesn't make any sense, that minute at all, so it needs a complete change.
No, it does. If you read, the town clerk introduced this item and Plantscape, unfortunately, this week withdrew, leaving only window.
Well, you must have a different copy of minutes.
No, it's just, we need to introduce Plantscape in that.
So it's missing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to make that as an amendment to the clerk?
Yeah.
4/26/13 as part of it?
Can I ask that we do send them out before to check in, please, again? But I don't mind doing it. No one else responds, but I've always responded.
I think that's entirely fair, councillor.
I don't think it's entirely true.
Well, that's why I was told no one responds, so I can only say a fact that I was told. Apologies if that's incorrect information.
Thank you. Right. Any other observations for the meeting minutes last week? Okay, so with Councillor Brooks's amendment to item 4/26/13, do we have a proposer to accept the minutes of the last meeting? Thank you, Councillor Bosworth, and as a seconder, Councillor Ainsley. Thank you very much. All those in favour of accepting the minutes of the amendment? Against? 1. Okay, abstaining? Councillor Clark, are you one way or the other?
I think I wasn't there.
Abstaining. So you're abstaining?
Abstaining.
Lovely, okay, that is carried. Thank you. Okay, on to item number 5, councillors' reports and questions. Councillor Wadsworth.
Just a quick report.
Splendid.
Okay, on the 30th of March, we held a traders meeting Discuss the parking charges with Councillor Christine Wise from RCC. She's going to get back to us on the items raised. So until she comes back, what's happening with that? Councillor Nichols spoke about the town culture bid that it had just got in the day before, or the day off. And also Christmas was discussed, and it was decided that it would be over 2-day event, the 21st and 22nd of November. More information will follow. That's it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Waddington. Oh, Councillor Clark, please.
We've had a couple of staffing committee meetings since the last meeting, and I attended a meeting of the Tree Champions in Braunston Village Hall in March as well.
Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, can I just add a little addendum to Councillor Wadsworth? RCC have now said that their scrutiny committee will do this examining the parking charges on the 26th of April. 16th, thank you.
Positive indeed. Thank you.
It is, so that's a positive result, which is good.
Councillor Brooks, you wanted to say a few words.
And I also have some submitted questions.
So now, under council report questions, would be the best time to do it.
Do you want me to read them, or is?
It's up to you, I can read them or you can read them. I mean,
I will point out at the beginning that since writing question number 3 this afternoon, the office very kindly provided me with the quotations, which we should have all had some considerable days ago. But I feel it's still a relevant question because it is a repeated thing over the last years without tendering. So would you like me to read each question? I don't know if you had a response prepared.
Not yet, no.
No, okay, well, I will just read them because I think they're important. My first is expenditure and tender approval for Victoria Hall under Financial Regulation 4.1. Open Town Council is required to resolve to authorise expenditures for items over £5,000 before the tender is issued. Furthermore, the council must approve tender packs prior to publication. And the question is, on what date did the council approve the expenditure and the specific tender pack for the proposed works for Victoria Hall, and what is the minute number for those resolutions? I'm not going to get an answer today.
No, obviously not.
No.
This only came in at 7:20.
Yeah, I amended them because there's been a lot of changes since I put my first question. Question number 2, allocation of community infrastructure levy SIL funds. There is a proposal to spend the council's entire SIL balance, including funds anticipated for receipt at the end of this month on Victoria Hall. So basically all our SIL money that we're expecting up until the end of April, says in the report here today, will fund, not it might, will fund. So the question is, when did the council resolve to commit the entirety of its current and future SIL funding to this project? And what is the minute number for this? Because I can't find it. And where is the evidence we are to receive the amount mentioned in Councillor Ainsley's report put before the council this evening? Because
I'll answer one bit.
I think we should be, we're not being given enough to consider things. It's okay for a councillor to say we might get money, but we need the evidence, like a statement from the county council. Anyway, sorry, I've diverged from the question, but.
Okay.
No, right, I'll answer the first bit and then I think Paul will answer the second bit. The SIL funding has been authorised and will be coming in April. So that has already been, the SIL monarch officer at RCC has confirmed that the funds that Paul Ainsley is anticipating will be in our bank account this month. So that has been approved. I've sent that email to Paul and I believe Paul, Councillor Ainsley has sent it to you. So there is written confirmation we will get the SIL money that we anticipated all along for this month.
It hasn't yet, so.
No, but it's the,
No, it hasn't said
but
it.
the RCC in writing has said.
Oh, I haven't
it
seen
will.
it yet.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And Paul, Councillor Ainsley. will-
Yeah, regarding the SIL funds, clearly, September, 10th of September, the budget allocation of £20,000 was set aside from the community infrastructure levy. We haven't,
I've read that.
we haven't yet allocated any further SIL funds because that's the purpose of this meeting, surely.
No, but your report, councillor, with all due respect, says that this project will be entirely funded from our SIL money.
Well, if the project goes ahead, councillor Brooks, it may or may not go ahead, that's the purpose of this meeting, so I think you're misinterpreting.
No, how can you misinterpret it when someone says, it would have been better to say that we might be funding it? That's what I was trying to get across.
Well, it does actually ask, that's why there's a vote that says actually no, it's
Well,
yes
the
or no.
votes are not clear in what we're voting,
Okay.
okay?
Do you have another question, councillor?
Yes, question number 4, which we'll be pleased to know is the last. Financial regulations and tender integrity. Our financial regulations mandate that tenders be submitted in special marked envelopes or in discussions with the clerk these days, it's a dedicated email address, remaining sealed until the designated opening date agreed upon by the council, which we didn't agree. These should be opened only by the clerk and the, or RFO, who is the clerk, in the presence of our chairman. That's always been the case. I'll get to the question, but I asked the chairman about the previous tender not too many months ago, and the question in here, did you open them? And the answer was no. So it surprises me that it wasn't opened in the correct way this time. The process appears to have been bypassed, making a recurring issue over the past year. Why was the prescribed regulatory process for this submission and opening of tenders not followed in this instance?
Well, I wasn't present at the attendance on this, so.
Look, obviously, anybody who uses emails, unless they're very, very clever, cannot see whether an email has been opened or not. The emails were sent to one account and they were opened in my presence. So that's as far as I will go. There have not been any decisions made on them, and all have been above board, and the deputy chairman knows exactly when they were opened and what purpose they were for. So arguably I can delegate authority, and me and Melanie have worked together on this, and obviously when the chairman has been very busy recently, we also have a deputy chairman who steps in when the chairman's not around.
I respond to that because the clerk has just, sorry, it's very hot in here. The clerk has just said that he opened them.
No, I didn't say that. I said in my presence there was.
Well, you haven't said who, but our regulations are very clear that they should be opened by yourself and one councillor, preferably the chairman, and it's always been accepted that that's the way. And I don't accept the thing that you cannot find out that emails have been opened.
It's preferable.
There are, you can see when emails
If you look
have
at
been
it
opened.
again,
That's not how.
But anyway, that's my response to it. But
Okay.
once again, we have not followed the correct procedures. And we're not talking about a laptop you bought. We're talking about £300,000 of taxpayers' money. And that is
Councillor,
why
no
we have
one's
to do
spending
things
that
properly.
money. No one's spending that money without prior authorisation.
No, no, but the tenders are for that amount of money, and we have to be careful
Can I
to
just
follow
have
the
one
rules.
Please, Chair. Let's be clear about this, Councillor Brooks. You are in a way making very serious accusations if you're not careful.
Yeah, I have.
Hold
made
on a
the
second, just
allegations. We have
listen,
not
please.
followed
Listen,
procedure.
listen, please. No money has been appropriated. No activity of fraudulence has taken place. These emails were opened, printed, put in a folder. That is the right process. We have followed it to the letter. There has been no, you have made all kinds of accusations about negotiations and all the rest of it. That is not the case. You
And
cannot
that's not
make
being brought up
Councillor
tonight.
Brooks, please.
that.
Sorry, Chairman,
You,
but
No,
please-
no, not but, just be quiet. Thank you.
you have made accusations, and everybody who's in council is here seeing some of those accusations. You cannot make those accusations without proof. No money has been allocated. Everything under my stewardship will be open and honest. Every tenderer, this is the way I do it, everybody's contract is, and the tender is open to public inspection. So everything, if one of the contractors has got a problem and says, you haven't opened ours, they can come and see it. We have an open and transparent policy. The days are gone, Councillor Brooks, where they were opened in secret and no one knew what had gone. That was when fraudulent activity used to take place.
I'm
When
not
only one or
accusing
two
anyone of
council-
fraudulent
Listen,
activity.
listen, we are doing this, and we did it with the window flowers, we do it with all our contracts. It's all in the public domain. All the quotes are in the public domain. So if another contractor's got a problem with the process, they can come and see it. That's the best way to do it. I don't like hidden doors. I don't like trap doors or doing them in private sessions. We've got all the quotes for you. Councillor Ainsley has got all the quotes in print. There's no hidden agendas. Sorry, Johnson. You're welcome. There is no hidden agendas. You can see everything. You can phone the contractor, do whatever you like, not Councillor Brooks, but everything is open and transparent. So
I'm not
stop
saying that
Councillor Brooks,
anything's
no,
been, can I just
no,
respond?
that's enough.
No, because I think it's
No,
unfair.
Councillor
He's
Brooks.
answering a way that's not
Councillor
correct.
Brooks, I'm sorry, you've had your say, you've had an answer, we've also had a response.
But no, he's wrong with
So,
what he said.
moving
Why did
on.
I only get the documents this
Councillor
afternoon
Brooks,
when I had to phone
Councillor
Melanie
Martin,
again?
do you mind?
No, but that's the fact, Chairman. He
No,
talks
not-
about openness and transparency. We're not getting it.
You are entirely getting it, you have
No,
access
when I
to
have to phone at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get the documents that I should have had a week ago, that is not being open and transparent.
Could you ask Councillor Ainsley, because that's not factual.
I understand, Councillor Brooks, that at the meeting on the 11th of February, I think that's correct, Melody's unfortunately stepped out of the room.
Yeah.
That actually the documents you requested, the tenders,
Oh,
were actually made available in a printed copy to all councillors who attended the meeting, and in addition, all the tenders were sent to the working group via Teams, and I also understand that every councillor received a copy of the tenders and the briefing document and the intended
Well,
paper.
I didn't.
Well, I have no idea how you
And
managed to
that's
miss
why
it. It does seem
I'm asking
unfortunate.
for it,
So
and I only got them today. Sorry, Chairman,
So, thank you,
but I just wanted to make that point.
So, I think we're doing this sort of thing to death.
And can I move on to making my motion? Is that where you want me to do the motion?
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we include in Councillor Ainsley, I don't know what number we will call it, but his proposals, giving this council the option to actually stop spending money and working on this project, not indefinitely, but until we have the legal status and control of the hall. So that's my motion, is not to say we're walking away from the hall completely, but next week the Charity Commission could go in because the chairman has said they've notified a serious incident, which is the closure of the hall. And they could appoint their own trustees, which does happen, and then we're wasting our time on it. So I would like to see that we get the ownership before we agree. So however the proposal and where it's fitted, I want councillors to have that opportunity, because we don't have that in that paper tonight.
So my understanding, Councillor Brooks, is that's exactly what's going to happen. Councillor Ainsley, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm simply going to say, Councillor Brooks, that actually that is clearly what is going to happen. That the very first thing that needs to happen, and be made abundantly clear, if you are mildly confused, I will try my very best to clear up that confusion. The fact is that the very first thing we have, well, there's two things we have to do up front before we go to any works, is that we have to assume ownership, etc., etc. So, and we have to register with the land registry, and all of that is documented. And when we get to the motion, I will explain that to you, and if you have questions around that, you can ask them. I think it's pointless to actually do that now. I think it needs to
No, I
happen.
think we need a clear option.
Councillor Brooks.
Let me finish, and then you can have your say. I think it's pointless to raise that now, because what that does is circumvent the discussions going to be had reference to the Victoria Hall project. It's a hugely complex project for us. It is legitimately, there are concerns around ownership, etc., etc. And I would raise them, and if you still have concerns, please raise them then. I cannot see the point of heading it off at the pass before we even got to the bloody discussion.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I swore. Apologies.
I think,
I think the councillors should have the
Councillor-
option, like when I
Councillor
put the
Brooks,
option
there-
before and
there's-
it was turned down.
that's,
Councillor, can I just, no, just one
I'm
word.
moving on. I'm
It's an
moving on.
amendment in the agenda item that you call for, which is fine, but not now. When the agenda item is here, you're quite legitimate to put proposal for an amendment to the policy.
But you've allowed councillor Ainsley to basically tell everyone.
Councillor Brooks,
what will
that's,
happen.
guys, this is enough. Just stop.
It's a fact. You allowed him to
That's-
speak out.
I'm going to move along with my chairman's report. Item number 6. It's an absolute delight to have gone to the ceremony of the handing over of Shreveport duties from Richard Chesterfield, who's done an absolutely admirable job over the last 365 days, and he has handed to Mrs. Susanna Fish, who I am assured is going to do an absolutely fantastic job as well in the role of Vice Sheriff. It was a wonderful, wonderful day, and I was very proud to be a Rutlander at the castle last week. Your report, Mark.
Thank you. I'm sorry about all this, councillor. Yeah. Right, this is the clerk's report. I'll try and be brief because I know this is a long day. The tree in Centenary Field fell in the winds we had about 2 weeks ago, catastrophically, a really big one, about 20 or 30 feet tall. Luckily, although a dog walker said he was nearby, no one was under it when it came. It split in two, so it made the actual remaining tree in Centenary Field very dangerous. We went for 2 tenders as quick as we could because I didn't want these winds we've had have been very erratic and all over the place. And we found a contractor who, for a reasonable price, cleared the whole thing that Saturday. So it fell on Thursday, on Saturday it was cleared. And I think personally that was very good. We obviously have some brambles and stuff left and a bit of a mess left because of where the tree fell. We're asking our contractor, Grants Maintenance, to have a look at clearing up the brambles. Really needs to be cleared now and made into a proper park in that area. So we'll get a quote for that and come back to you when they're there with a quote for that. So that's that one. Then Princess Avenue, the ongoing upgrades to the play equipment will start again after the Easter break. Obviously, we've stopped doing no more Easter breaks on. They're all over at the moment, so we didn't want to actually have them working on it while we had the Easter break. We've got a new key cupboard, which we needed because of incidents that happened in the council chamber. We've also got a notification from the police that they have concluded that there is insufficient evidence regarding unauthorised access for them to go further. Then we have a new bench on Centenary Field. We're trialling and it seems to be meeting with the approval that every time I've gone past it, it's populated, so we'll be looking at installing some more. The window floors manager is to visit open tomorrow to inspect the actual location of the floor displays and make certain what we had last year can still be validated this year. I have also taken upon myself to replace the wreath, it's a silk wreath on the High Street in recognition of a fatal incident that occurred outside of the bank, which is a very sad moment for Oakham, where a fatality occurred. We've replaced the pads and batteries on the defibrillator in Princess Avenue, which were out of date, and that was on Seal, your local firm who do these things. And could I just remind councillors that the declaration of interest, and this comes from my other job in Melton, I just need to update councillors, it's your responsibility, not mine. So please, certain your declaration of interest is up to date, and this is a good time to actually talk about it, because obviously end of the financial year and everything. So please have a look at your declaration of interest, check it's okay, and if there are updates, please, if you need help, approach us and we'll sort it out for you, because RCC need to have an up-to-date declaration of interest. Other than that, that'll do for now. Thank you.
Did you have an operation on the board?
There's an operation report in print, which is quite long. I intended not to go through it. I think most people can read that. So there's an activity report from the Hampshire.
I'm not sure if the protocols or whether this can be discussed here, but may we have an update on the absences at the moment? Within your
Staff absences.
That might well be covered under item number 9.
Yes.
If the chair of staffing feels so inclined.
Yes.
So
that's
it's
not
not
really for
conflicting
me to talk.
I've seen conflicting things on emails, that's all.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's, we
Which
should have
refuses
to
to person.
talk about. And I'll leave that to Chris Clark.
Councillor Brooks has a query.
Yeah, can I just raise a point? You said that the security incident was stopped by the police due to lack of evidence. That's not real, because I've actually seen and have a copy of the letter sent to the person involved, and they made it very clear, and I've been very careful not to mention the person or the charity that was supposed to be here, but the police made it very clear to the person that they were here for a meeting which they had booked for their charity to use. To say that there's insufficient evidence is incorrect, actually quite a serious thing to say.
No, that's what the police said, not me.
I've seen the letter from the police officer.
To Adam Lowe.
You're not supposed to say his name.
No, but you're making a.
No, I was
statement
sent the complaint, and the complaint's not been dealt with, but I was also sent the letter from the monitoring officer and the letter from the police.
here. How did you get that?
The person who made the complaint sent them to me because they're not happy with the way that it's being handled at the council. That's all I would say.
But that's,
But it's quite a serious thing to say because there was no offence committed in the eyes of the police, and they've written that very clearly in black and white. But you're saying that you saying publicly that it's lack of evidence suggests that something was done wrong, when actually that person booked, and it's not Melanie's fault, it goes historically to the fact that there was no proper booking system. And now we do have a proper booking system, it won't happen ever again.
Right, so I'll make the suggestion that given that there has been a turn of phrase used, we will look through the records that have been received from the police on this matter. We will clarify the point to the letter and publish that so that we all understand actually.
Yeah, well, I hope he hasn't altered the letter that I was sent, that's all, isn't it?
That's a hell of an accusation.
No, I'm just saying, because you're suggesting that there's something different.
I'm suggesting that we get the facts straight, Martin.
Yeah, well, I'm just going by the facts that I was sent, and it contradicts what the clerk said.
Right, so
I can show you.
So what
evidence.
I'm suggesting is that we actually look at what has been received and
Yeah.
what might be the reason for that.
Well, I hope we're dealing with the complaint, and we might be sending an apology at some stage,
It
Well,
will,
we
pro-
sent an
well,
apology.
it will be processed.
and then we can move on.
Hmm.
But
Right,
as I said,
item
Chairman,
number- thank
I'm
you,
not
thank you.
present, and I would have liked to. have
Item
listened
number
to
9,
something
we're going to
that
have
we did.
the committee and working group reports. Does anyone have a report you would like to share it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had 3 staffing committee meetings which have been held over the last, since the last council meeting. And in Johnny's absence, and Johnny, I understand, is indisposed. So in his absence, you all know that we have submitted our application to become the UK Town of Culture, 2026, I imagine it is. So
28.
28, beg your pardon, but that's it. A number of us have been in the working group to prepare the application, so I'm grateful to councillors, I forget people's surnames, Harris, Ainsley, Nichols and myself formed a small working group, and we did a number of ways to gather information. We had a gazebo in the town market on one Saturday and the farmers market 2 weeks later, so we gathered a lot of information. I have to say the group put enormous amounts of time and effort into reaching the deadline because the application had to be put in by the 31st of March, so it was actually submitted on the 30th, so just to make sure it was in good time. And we're now waiting to hear the results of our efforts. What I would say, though, is the conversation that we had was really helpful in looking at how even if we're unsuccessful in our bid to become the UK Town of Culture, there was a huge amount of interesting and helpful information that we put in there, which could form part of plans that we have. And I think it was working with the group, with getting conversation information through questionnaires and conversations, a whole load of information that could be done, could be used to raise the quality of life, if you like, for Oakham, and particularly in the town centre. So even if we're unsuccessful, my hope is that we will use the information that we've gathered for that submission to form our plans going forward in terms of how do we improve the quality of town centre. And to pick up Councillor Wadsworth's point, we also involve the business groups in that, and they're keen to see changes made. So hopefully we'll see some real change in the town as a result of the bid that we've done, even if we're unsuccessful.
Well said.
Thank you, yes.
Did you want to say anything on staff?
Well, yeah, we've had 3 staffing meetings. I'm not sure what I can say about them other than to say we've been dealing with matters to involve with the staff, and we had a meeting this evening, we have one next week. So it's a regular conversation we have about looking at how we look after the staff and in the council.
Councillor Brooks.
Can I start by just saying thank you to the working group that did the bid?
There was a committee.
Committee and working group, because I was one of the people who looked at the deadline and thought, gosh, this could never be done. And you worked very hard, and it's, as Councillor has said, it's useful. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting old. I was 60 on Friday. But the other thing, that question wasn't answered because verbally I've been told that a member of staff has left. Can you confirm that? I've had no emails, but verbally I've been told that a member of staff has left.
Councillor Brooks, we're not going to discuss that in the public. That was a.
But are they still employed? You can say yes or no.
Yes, still in.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 10, correspondence received.
No, there's nothing really important.
Say again, Councillor Brooks.
Can I go say it again?
Sorry?
Nothing, I would get
No,
into trouble
get to
if I
share
said it.
I'm
I
sure,
just spoke out loud, thought out loud.
I'm sure that the microphones pick that up for you. Don't worry. Right, item number 11, bank statements and budget. Does anyone have any observations? Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I had, we were pre-warned that there was going to be a lot of payments to Millennium, thanks to Melanie. But I did have a couple of questions, because one of them is a smaller amount, but it says £23.60 email leak issue, and what was the other one? Down at the bottom, it says memory stick unauthorised ENT. So, and that was £2.40 by the way. Oh no, that's the VAT I'm reading, sorry, with such tiny print on. Can I have an explanation
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
email leak issues? I think memory stick must be that you purchase now, thinking about it again, unauthorised entry could be relating to the security, and you download it for the police because they can't be bothered to bring their own anymore.
Are you asking a question or saying?
No, but I've just answered it myself, that one.
Answering his own question.
Yeah, but I would like to know what the, because that's actually bigger, it's £141.60 for email leak issue. That's an unusual expenditure when you consider we've already been spending about £600 or £700 this month.
So the email leak issue was an event that happened last year, I believe June or July, that was investigated, and the bill's only just been received for it. I can't tell you what the email leak was about, I can just tell you that was that.
If you cast your mind back, Councillor Brooks, there was a confidential email that was leaked into the public domain, and that was investigated.
Oh, right, yeah, because it got sent out to the press and everybody, wasn't it, for monitoring officer. Okay.
That's the one.
Okay, and then, sorry, there was one more, because I was promised, or the council was, that no councillor would be paid money anymore for expenses, and we have, and I won't say the name, but we have £485.82, which is for the leaflets for delivery by Royal Mail.
Yeah,
Why
I can answer that.
Why did the Royal Mail not send
I
an
can-
invoice
do
to
you
the
want me to answer it?
council? And actually, I could ask the question, why on earth did we use it?
Would you like
Because
your
I
answer to
never
the
got a leaflet.
question, Councillor Brooks?
So I'm going to answer that question.
You can, because we were told that it wouldn't happen, and there is another.
Well, I can answer the question and give you a clear explanation. And that clear explanation is that we were on a very, very, very tight time frame to get those leaflets out. A councillor and myself investigated about 3 different methods to deliver information. We couldn't get it out in time. The clerk was on holiday. I was not going to ring him for the bank details in order to process this. And so therefore, a councillor kindly offered to pay for it, and we reimbursed him to ensure that we could deliver what we were trying to do.
And Clarence said that it was an emergency.
Thank you.
And we thank the councillor for very selflessly putting that funding up. Thank you very much. Right, any other observations?
I'm sorry, what was it? Sorry.
I said it's good to get an explanation,
Thank
that's
you.
all. And I'm sorry I didn't ask before, and I just forgot there'd been so many things then.
So if there are no other issues or queries regarding the banking, shall we do 11.1 through 11.5 on block? Do we have, Councillor Watson, you proposing?
Yeah,
Thank you,
let's
right.
get on.
Thank you for proposing the acceptance of the accounts. Thank you, secondly, Councillor Clark. All those in favour of acceptance of items 11.1 through 11.5 on block, thank you. Those against? And those abstaining. So Councillor Wadsworth, opposed, Councillor Clark. Fantastic, thank you very much. On to item number 12, this is a paper from Councillor Ainslie regarding the 20-mile limit. Go ahead, sir.
Could I raise a point of order, please? At our last meeting, we were told that there were to be no additional papers, and I do know that people wanted to bring papers. So can I point that out and ask for this matter to be deferred? Because I also think that it predetermines a police investigation. People have been saying that it's speeding. We don't know that. If it was speeding, the man would have been arrested. I think it needs more work, and we were told quite clearly there would be no other papers tonight.
Could I just?
Councillor Clark, sorry, you had a...
Thank you. All I will say is this was discussed at previous council meetings. This matter obviously was already in the public domain because we had previous discussions about the 20-mile-an-hour introduction, 20-mile speed limit within the town centre. So, taking Councillor Brooks' point of that, it is an additional item, but it has been discussed before.
Well, it's in, so we may as well roll with it.
But can I ask for it to be deferred? Because I'd like it to be a much bigger thing than just slipping it in today.
Okay, so Councillor Brooks has suggested that this is deferred. Do we have a second then? Councillor Wadsworth, all those in favour? 2 against? And abstaining. Okay, so we will move ahead with item number 12 as planned. Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, I think, notwithstanding the comments made by Councillor Brooks, I do think this is an important thing for us to get underway, and actually, the decisions need to be made in consultation with RCC. They are the planning authority, but we, I feel, have a duty as a town council to actually raise the fact that the town centre is dangerous in places, and that is not assisted by the speeding, so we are suggesting a 20-mile limit. I think some of the access roads need to be examined, so that's why it's phrased the way it is. It simply says, right, formally to RCC number 3, setting out this resolution and offering partnership working as detailed in the appendix, which is the covering letter. So I think this is a worthwhile thing, and I'm obviously propose it.
Lovely. Oh, well, in a bit of a turn of, Councillor Payne does like to interject at these moments.
Well, I like to ruminate.
Well, let's have it, Councillor Payne.
This is a conversation that is ongoing amongst the Rutland County councillors as well. So I think you will get a warm reception to your ideas, Councillor Anderson.
Very kind of you to say so, thank you.
Councillor Brooks?
I'm not against the proposal, but I object to being suggested that I was doing. But I did feel that we could have done something a bit more. Maybe this is just an introduction to something, moving forward. But I will support this initial thing, but I would like to see, rather than just saying we want a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, I think there needs to be traffic calming measures and things, because it's not just the high street. There have been serious incidents where luckily no one's been seriously injured, but could have been. I've seen them on the Stanford Road roundabout near Catmus Street, where little cars have spun out of control, knocked down.
Let's keep it on the topic.
But, and it's not a new issue. We have a councillor here who's on the community speed watch.
Yep.
So it come across to people from comments online that we were jumping on the bandwagon, and that's why I was a bit apprehensive about it being just put in at the last minute today. That was all I was doing. It is the fact that it needs to be made clear it's not a new thing. We have mentioned it before, and I support the proposal.
Brilliant. Councillor Clark?
Yes, thank you very much indeed. I also think that when we did the neighbourhood plan steering group met probably 2 or 3 years ago, it was discussed or was raised at that time, so it's not new. What I do find interesting, though, I happen to be in Oxfordshire recently, near where I used to live, and almost all the villages in Oxfordshire have 20-mile-an-hour limits all throughout the town. I pick up Councillor Brooks' point about where, but it does say here appropriate streets, so I think we do need to look at where we work, and also, as Councillor Brooks is saying, places, pinch points like outside Jeffrey Hutton's cottage also need to be looked at in terms of making sure that Oakham becomes a pedestrian-friendly place to visit.
Well, for me, item number 2 nicely embodies the last 10 minutes of conversation. Requests for the county council to take necessary assessment, consultation, traffic regulation order process to implement the scheme. That's all very nicely packaged up in that. So I think we'll move, if there's no other commentary, query or suggestion, let's move to proposals if you care to.
I propose on mass 1, 2 and 3.
Can I just ask that we name the streets?
No,
Too
But it says
Too
appropriate,
early, Martin.
but what are appropriate streets?
Well, it's so that
well, that's the whole point of consultation.
Okay, fine, I'll shut
Too
up.
early, too early.
Having to say that.
Right, so we've got a seconder from Councillor Clark. All those in favour of supporting 1, 2 and 3? That is unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. Right, here we go, everyone. Item number 13, Victoria Hall. Your paper, Councillor Ainsley, you have the floor, sir, and I'd like to suspend at this point standing orders regarding standing and also time of delivery. I think we're about to receive a presentation. So if I'll propose that, can I have a seconder to suspend time and standing orders? Thank you. That's seconded by Councillor Wadsworth. All those in favour? Against?
Oh, I'm for, sorry.
For, unanimous.
I'm trying to get the papers in order.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Councillor Ainsley, take it away.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for I was going to do a slideshow, really, because it's a complex subject, so.
Who's got the end screens?
I thought this was on,
I think it went to sleep halfway through.
Yeah, I
Like
got
the rest of us.
Wonder why.
take half an hour to warm up now.
Come on.
It's not an LED one, it's an office.
I will check it.
Here you go, you're the remote.
I don't know what's going on. I think it's going on.
Oh, okay, it's waiting for me, is it?
No, it was just warming up.
Okay.
Getting a bit anxious.
Can you see okay? Can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, can everybody see all right? I'm sorry about this. So I was going to say a little something before we started this, but this is primarily about the facts, the figures, the legal situation. It's got very little to do with the emotion element, which actually says that actually Victoria Hall is Well, in my humble opinion, if the Victoria Hall were to remain closed, it would be a dire loss to the community. Certainly UK Top, we actually did discuss Victoria Hall as an asset. Sorry, Town of Culture bid, we did discuss. Apologies. So I think all of this goes hand in glove. So I do want to stress that this is just purely a representation of suggested steps that we move forward to actually progress the potential or the possible taking over of the hall. So now, of course, the lights are on, I can't see my little buttons everywhere. So the very first thing we need to do, can everybody see that? I know it's a little small, I apologise. Which is something that Councillor Brooks brought up earlier on, that we need to secure the ownership and charitable status, and this is the work that's been done by Anthony Collins Solicitors. And the total cost for that piece of work, which is phase 2, is £9,850, which actually is an increase on the original quotation by about 2.5k, if my memory serves me correctly. So what are we going to be doing? What work are we asking them to be doing? Well, first of all, we need to establish the legal and governance framework required for long-term stewardship of the hall. So clearly, as Councillor Brooks brought up there, we need to register the builder's ownership with the land registry, that's registered in our name, and a charity commission, and revise the charitable objects so they align with the hall's return purpose. My briefing notes did actually outline the proposed charitable objects, and also the fact that the Anthony Collins Solicitors, the working group did actually attend a meeting with them, and they were very keen to say that this could take forever, i.e. years, to actually get this transferred and the ownership across, but they reckon they could get it done in 1 to 2 months on the accelerated pathway. They have, we had choices of how this was financed, and I have picked out, you've all seen the documents, it's in quotes. I picked out the one that actually does secure, there's no element of doubt this is a fixed cost, and so therefore we would need to proceed. So we register the land. We need to draft a lease that protects the council's investment and clarifies our responsibilities as both tenants and corporate trustees. Now, Councillor Brooks is in amongst his wash of emails, so many on this subject, has clearly stated that he's very concerned that this puts the council in a difficult position because we're twin-hatted. What that means is we will be both the tenant and will also be the corporate trustee. So that has to be managed carefully, and we have to actually manage that within the legal constraints by Anthony Collins, who are specialists in this field. It's not something I know much. I just know the potential dangers. I don't know how that will be managed, but I have every faith, and we've been reassured that that is easily manageable. And we're not the only council who has this twin-hatted responsibility. The third thing, of course, is that we need to set out how refurbishment and future capital works will be funded. It would be unwise to assume as we move into the hall that there's going to be no ongoing maintenance costs. So because of our twin-hatted responsibilities, we need to outline exactly how that's going to be incurred. And the current thinking is, and we're going back to council, they will advise us and we'll come back to council and say that this is what we're advising, this is what we're going to do. Hopefully that'll be quite a simple thing to do. So we're thinking of a pot of money, and that essentially any rental income or income from the hall will be put into the investment pot that says this is for the refurbishment of the hall. So we don't get into the difficult situation that we currently find ourselves in. And we also need to agree, and certainly in the short term, this is going to, well, short to medium term, we need to understand and agree Oakham Town Council's contribution to staffing and the utilities bill. If we're the only resident, then obviously we pick up the utilities, but all of that can be drawn up by the lease and actually framed by Anthony Collins Solicitors. And they anticipate getting that done within a couple of months. So essential work, as has already been stated by Councillor Brooks, and this is essential work that needs to happen before we can even consider what we might do. But it's expenditure that we have to authorise. And that expenditure is earmarked from community infrastructure levy. That's exactly what it's for, to actually look to actually invest in the community. So 9,850 quid. The second element is that we need to secure the building's fabric. So Kingsmead Design, who did a sterling job of pulling together the quotations for the tenders, so that every single person who quoted on the tenders was working on the same level playing field. I mean, there was so much interpretation And we did go back for some clarification, and all those are documented, where we went back for clarification from the tenderers. But essentially, without that work that was done initially by Kingsmead Design, we would not have been able to actually submit some tenders that were actually rooted in, well, fact. So I really was hugely impressed by Kingsmead Design. Not to be confused with the other organisation or that email you circulated earlier, nothing to do with them. So we need to obtain the statutory consents to enable physical works to begin. So in that case, it's obtain listed building consent for the proposed refurbishment, obtain building regulation approval for the planned works, and then, although not necessarily necessary to happen at this stage, we need to enter into formal appointment with the chosen contractor, and they will act on our behalf using a JCT minor works contract, which I understand is industry standard. Those who are better informed than I would have backed that up. This then ensures that we're in readiness to actually start works once consents are in place. So at this point, we're really establishing the legal legal and planning format so that we can actually engage in getting into the hall.
Initial person, JCT?
Joint something contract tender thing. It's apparently industry standard. I mean, I can quickly Google it for you. Does anybody know? No. When I Googled it, which has now gone completely out of my mind, it was a standard international. Yeah, exactly. So JCT for minor works, and although this is going to be quite expensive, in the scheme of things, this is quite minor works and straightforward works actually. So the total cost that actually at this stage that we'll be asking to secure from SIL funds. Now not all of this is going to be taken immediately. So actually it's a total legal, architectural and consultation phase, which we haven't discussed, but the consultation is obviously something we have to do with the public, and we need to, before we do that, we have to actually get council approval that we're going to move ahead with the project. So at this stage, those step 1 and step 2 have to be secured before we consider moving in, and I would suggest that once we've secured step 1 and step 2, that we can then debate as to whether we hand our notice in here and actually move into the hall, subject to what the contractors want to do. So, summary then, total legal architectural consultation fees, 51,850. Moving on, the next step is step 3, which is securing the building's fabric.
No.
You can ask questions after.
Oh, I'm sorry, do you want to ask questions now?
Could it be possible we could ask just some things in the thing, because we might forget and then there's a confusion.
I've got a suggestion,
I have
Councillor
one
Brooks, perhaps write them down so that you
One question on that
write it
last
down and
fee.
you can deliver it afterwards,
But it's not easy because it's all over the place.
unless you'd like to take a question.
Councillor Brooks, how long is this going to take? Because
Just a second, because all I wanted to point out was that in proposal 3, you're saying that it's
Which is proposal 3?
£38,000, but that doesn't match to your
Sorry, which is proposal 3?
On your
on your.
Oh, okay, we haven't got there yet, have we?
No, but we're.
So when we
I'm just
get there,
pointing
please
out
raise it
there's a
then.
discrepancy in what we're
I'll
showing
explain
us
it when we
there.
get there. Councillor Brooks, I'll explain it when we get there. Okay?
Okay.
Write it down so you don't forget. I'm very keen to answer you.
Carry on, please.
Thank you. So the next step is to actually secure the building's fabric. So this is to deliver the essential works required to make Victoria Hall safe, functional and fit for community use. So using Kingsmead Design, phase 1 was labelled the critical safety and structural works. So this is addressing the immediate risk and stabilising the building to prevent further deterioration. So this is looking at the roof. We actually have had a drone survey done. I can't think. Oh yes, the fire escape was another thing. We'll have a look at the list in a minute. But it's the essential safety and structural works. Phase 2 was the essential functionality and accessibility. So this was things like the compliant fire safety system, a full electrical rear wire, and improving accessibility so the hall can operate safely and inclusively. So those are the two, phase 1 and 2. This is to secure the building's fabric. So once this was complete, we would hopefully have an up-to-date and modernised building that's actually, hopefully will be staying there for quite a few more years. So this was the actual part of the spreadsheet. I've just cut and pasted up from the spreadsheet. I don't necessarily, I'm guessing that you've all had a look at phase 1 and 2 in the quotations and tenders section that I handed out. But just for your benefit, this was how it all works out. So the total project total, and this is the project total, so this includes phase 1 and 2 of the, sorry, the solicitor's work and the architect's work, and this is the project total. At this point, for the 3 in green are the ones that actually still bring us below the budget. And you can see that AJ Mills and Clark Construction are in red, and that's quite simply because the SIL fund, anticipated SIL fund, guaranteed SIL fund, we have an email to support, and we're not going to be spending it at this point. So when we get to this phase, we have expected 225,352 quid, and you can see that actually what is remaining of the SIL balance is 140 when we look at filed. And we look at RVC, it's 128. Metcalfe will only have 12k left. I'm not going to talk about the contractors necessarily, but I did just want to mention the fact, and I apologise profusely, there was an error in the summary which actually said it was 10% contingency, but in actual fact I'm working on 50%, which is pretty much an industry norm, or albeit at the lower end, because we've done so many quotations and surveys. So if we look at contingency, we'll actually have built up, well, 21,103 for filed, Metcalfe 35,000, and so on. So there's still quite a substantial budget remaining within the SIL balance. And additionally, we have the contingency as yet untouched. Who knows? I'm not a soothsayer. So I'm going to move on now, and this is phase 1 through. This is the critical safety and structural work. So moving on, the next bit is the, so I've labelled it here, cost-effective works to make the most of rental opportunities. And this is the thing, phase 3 is quite a long list of community enhancements that need to be done. So we had a quick look and discussed things, and these steps here detail the initial cosmetic and the minimum cosmetic and community enhancements that need to be made to make the most of the rental opportunities. And they are P3.2, which is the creation of the chamber facilities. Clearly, if we're going to move in, we've got to make those facilities. You need to remember that we've already voted some monies towards that, because it isn't all for community asset, it's actually for our own benefit. So there's been a sort of quick popo, and it's actually listed on the spreadsheet when you have a look. The ground floor WC reconfiguration, anybody who's been to the hall and a do will very quickly recognise that the ground floor WCs are in urgent need of refurbishment, and actually there's talk about knocking things through, and this is actually making I'm not quite sure how it works, to be honest with you, but the ground floor WC reconfiguration is going to be completely replumbed, completely new porcelain fitted, new loos, and actually made suitable for public functions, so that we don't have what we did have, the gentleman's loo. Well, it's appalling currently. So that was felt to be essential, and the accessible first floor WC, exactly the same reasons as why we talk about the ground floor WC configuration. So if we look at those figures, there's the spreadsheet, and you can have a look at those. You can see that the project totals have gone up considerably. So in this case, so quickly I'll just pull up the SIL figures. You can see that the SIL balance actually is 65k for filed, and RBC have dropped to 6,000. So we're getting very close to the limit of the SIL funds on phase 3A. But I would just point out that if we get the essential works done, we can move in, and we can then look at how we can then apply for grants, etc., to bring up the standard of the rent, to maximise our rental opportunities. Contingency, well, not a huge difference, but because the price has gone up, it's 15%, you've got 29k for RBC, so that gives us a reasonable buffer. Filed is 26, but I would point out that Metcalfe, for example, you can see that even with the SIL, the contingency of 15%, that 49k is not going to cover the excess where they bunched over the SIL money. So that is option 3A, which is primarily aimed at supporting a vibrant and well-used town centre venue, and with us in residence, I think that could work. 3B, which is again, this time what we've gone for is additional work, and that includes the main hall space upstairs. It always includes the loo, work on the lobby and the north access lobby, and the doors are in Rangery. Actually, this was putting in additional safety measures on the existing ground floor doors. So that obviously is a significant amount of extra work. So if we quickly look at that, you can see that actually the only people that remain below the projected sill money, in this case, are filed, and that RBC busted and Metcalfe are well and truly busted. And if we look at AJ Mills, I haven't talked much about them, you can see their quotation was quite significant. Contingency again, 15%. It might just tickle in RBC, should we go for 3B? But we certainly would not, we'd still have to contribute from reserves or get money coming in elsewhere. That was a very quick gallop through. I'm happy now to hold it there. We have the lights back on, and then we can, I'm willing to take questions. Or not.
I'll kick us off if I may. Maybe so in prudence. Councillor Harris, thank you.
Do my motion first.
Just a question on this, we're still outstanding water supply, so we're just, this is an informal discussion.
Okay.
Okay, so my first question, Councillor Enns, is looking at the looking at those quotations from the various contractors. Was there anything that would prohibit us from splitting the contract into sub-projects and having the most competitive or the most prudent choice that we need?
I think, so, I'm going to answer the question, but I just want to bring another fact in, if I may. That one of the things we did do was we went out and sought references. And that went swimmingly initially, but it has to be said that if we were to consider filed, it needs to be noted by the meeting that we had one very negative phone call against filed. Obviously, public, yes, I think we are. And I won't go into the detail, but there was, but we have subsequently had two positive endorsements. So we need to be a little cautious because they were very low, and so yes, so there's nothing to stop us. I'll have to consult.
Sorry, I'll give you a full instance. So rather than putting all of our eggs in one basket, perhaps just to use a few arbitrary figures here, roof repairs, the quotes differ hugely. So perhaps we could appreciate whether we're getting likewise quality from all the contractors, and perhaps go for, so the roof is done by contractor A, the fire escape done by B, and they can
I don't know how that would work, but we would have to get in touch with Kingsby, who would be essentially controlling the project.
Fair enough. Okay.
Melanie, you want to say something?
So one of the points to consider would be included in that would be the scaffolding, that would include the roofs, the windows, etc., etc. So that's why that could get quite difficult to split those elements out.
So if there are some that have to be done by the same contractor because of whatever reason.
And it has to be noted that the prelims, which is their contractors speak for scaffolding and all the other bits and pieces they've got they had to do, was actually, there's quite a large range on that as well. And we did go back, for example, one of the contractors quoted 2.5 on his prelims, and the other ones were quoting 50. So we went back to them and said, are you sure you're sure? Where are you going, where are you costing scaffolding was the question we asked. And so that was, so there was lots of reassurances, but you're right. I cannot see why not, but we have to talk to our experts, I think.
And could we also at this time, perhaps, again, this is a bit left field, but given that we've done a lot of the legwork regards this, and we're now in a position where we've got some good indicative figures and potential way forward, could we potentially ask other community interest groups in the Oakham area whether they would want to become a co-trustee, if that lightens the load administratively for us, and whether or not they'd like to put some funding toward all of this?
Yes. I think if we were to secure the funding for the solicitor's work and for the initial architect's work, excluding the management of the project, so get the building consent and all that rubbish, not rubbish, essential work, then yes. And we should be, as a council, if we were to move forward with that and make that initial investment, then yes, of course. And I think that's actually very prudent to do so.
Councillor Harris, you have a query, and then I'll come to you, Councillor.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not the sage on this, I want to consult the experts.
There seems to be huge passion for Victoria Hall. As still a newcomer to Oakham, 3 years. And apologies to Paul and the working group, of which I was a member, but because of holidays, illness and various things, I've not been contributing very much. So I've tried to summarise, and I've read all this in great detail, and please correct me if I'm wrong. For the plan, we can become owners for no net cost to Oakham residents of the building. Refurb could be fully covered by SIL money, and there's a possible saving in rent, unless we charge ourselves rent, which we probably ought to. Probably should prefer
I
to
think-
have a level playing field.
I think that rent would probably be reduced because of the significant financial investment we're making in the first. But
If I were possible, against, we have, as a council, maybe as individuals we do, but we have no experience in running such business venture. All former customers of Victoria Hall have presumably found alternative venues, so we would need to find 100% new customers, new users. Against, all SIL money would be gone on one project. Other than sentiment, I've seen no evidence that such a facility is needed or wanted. Otherwise, it would have been a thriving facility in the past. I haven't seen any evidence of latent demand exceeding current supply. No alternatives have been suggested or examined, but I have one. What are we short of in Oakham? Well, I suggest we consider, Paul looking horrified, taking over Victoria Hall as proposed, and then we either sell it or go into partnership with a trusted local property developer, or work in partnership with such a firm. We could insist in the sale of the partnership that Victoria Hall is converted into 1-bedroom apartments or 2-bedroom apartments, which could only be sold to first-time buyers who live and or work in Oakham. That same covenant would stay in place if the properties were resold, as these initial tenants moved on to somewhere bigger. Keeping people in their 20s and 30s in the town is important. And today, other than costly rentals, no young people can afford to live in Oakham, let alone Oakham town centre. Having stood 3 or 4 days in the freezing cold with the town of culture, there's clearly a gap. And I wondered, could we consider such an outrageous idea that might actually help to create a beating heart in the centre of Oakham? You never know. If there were 6 or 8 people living in Victoria Hall, they would eat in the restaurants and go to the pubs and use the shops. I think there's a big void. I think we should consider something along these lines as an alternative, rather than assume we can find people to fill these function rooms. I couldn't vote for doing so unless I had some evidence which said it's a viable proposition, because we could find ourselves in 5 or 10 years' time with very few customers, lots of cost, and back in the same position.
sorry, no, I'm listening to.
I think.
I was just asking the chair whether he would mind if we invited the current chair of trustees to actually speak on that very point, because I know you've examined it before, and then I'd invite Melanie to talk about the potential rental opportunities, if that's okay. Sorry, it's up to the chair.
If you would like to.
So by way of background, I'm a chartered surveyor. I've been working in the commercial property industry for 31 years. And I've been engaged in a lot of property development and reconfiguration over the years, including shopping centres, retail parks, leisure, hotels, residential. The first thing to say is that the building is grade 2 listed. So the opportunity to carve it around in the way you suggest, to create 1 and 2
Thoughtfully creative rather than carving.
well, come what may, would be subdivided in a way which I think would be challenging from a listed building consent point of view. And it's quite a deep floor plate with not an awful lot of natural light on 3 sides. So really your only natural light is the big windows at the front. Quite how you make use of that deeper floor space, bearing in mind you've also got escape issues. I don't think, unless it were very, very heavily subsidised, that it would stack up viably. But equally, if the council is sole corporate trustee of the charity, if it sells the hall, the proceeds can't necessarily be used in the way you are suggesting. So I think there's a further minefield there in terms of charities commission consent to deviate hugely from the stated objectives of the charity. I think it's a nice idea. And residential conversion is an idea we have thought of ourselves, but I don't think it stacks up for a multitude of it.
I was looking for a nice idea.
Yes, lovely idea. Melanie, do you want to talk about the rate opportunities, which is the other issue brought up, isn't it?
So, you're quite right in a lot of what you were saying about having 500% new customers. Tom and I worked together for nearly a year, worked very hard on trying to attract new customers in, and we're actually having traction in the space of parties, weddings, etc., functions upstairs. Where we struggled was to put on our own events. But we did start to develop a good pipeline of weddings, even as far, I think it's 27, I think we'd started to get some interesting bookings. That space is absolutely still ideal for the Victoria Hall and for us to investigate further. During my tenure there, we implemented a new website, so that started to get traction as well, and that is still there, ready to use. Local community groups, so we had U3A and we had the Art Society. Now I know that U3A have found another home and may not be willing to come back. The Art Society might be willing to come back, but also I think the added bonus of having the toilets downstairs they're awful, and when you walk into the Victoria Hall, it's a beautiful place, but it does need that cosmetic upgrade in order to attract more business. But I do think that there is still potential for us to grow that side of it. Hard work, yes.
Can I just add to that as well? We had a bit of a perfect storm in the run-up to eventually closing the hall, which was the heating system, which broke down through not last winter, but the winter before. And really people had to leave us. They didn't particularly want to, but we were trying to heat this thing with a massive diesel heater. We made a reasonable fist of it, but really it wasn't great. I think quite a lot of those people, yes, they have found alternative homes, but I don't think they are as good homes as the Victoria Hall is. So I think dance groups in particular, fitness, Zumba, trampoline bounce, all of those users probably would come back, particularly if that is allied to a significant physical upgrade facilities at the hall. And we had various other one-off inquiries. So we hosted the BBC twice for 2 events, which were massively oversubscribed and went very well. We had things like Steve Foster's big band. We've got David Limper's Rutland big band, who wants to come back and probably aren't putting on events because they haven't got anywhere to put them on. So I don't disagree. It would be a period of building that back up, but I don't think that demand has disappeared, and I don't think demand that has gone elsewhere would necessarily not come back just because they've gone elsewhere.
I will take Councillor Lux's,
I said earlier that I was pleased that I got the quotes eventually. But like that issue I've picked up where the figure doesn't match on the screen.
Now, if you wish.
Yeah, I'll do that one first, because obviously we're in a more relaxed. Do I need to stand up?
No.
Would you like to answer that now, or do you want me to
Yeah,
come back?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so,
I'm going to throw your whole lot.
Item 3 is authorised expenditure of £338,000, which is additional expenditure for Kingsmead design, yeah? £800 has already been spent, so that's the difference. So what we're saying is we want £800 has already been spent and paid for, that's been extracted from SIL, so the £38,000 is the rump of what will be left for the additional work required by Kingsmead,
Right.
the design consultant,
Okay.
so architect person.
Well, obviously I was sent an email as well within the package, which had a confusion because the man's name is the same and the figure
But it's a
was,
totally different person.
and the figure was 38,000. So I accept that. But in that package I was sent, there's a quote for Kingsmead for stage 2, and I think if I wrote it down correctly here, I remember where I put it, it's in my email. It was for around £74,000. So I can't find any quote that says that it's come down to cover all those stages for only 38.
Can I answer that question? I can answer that right now. The fact remains, the name is the same, Kingsmead, but the fact remains that the person, we received an email, unsolicited, which offered a totally alternative approach, who called themselves Kingsmead. And say again? Kensington, thank you. Was it Kensington?
Kensington Homes.
Yeah, so that quotation we totally dismissed. There had been no tender submitted. It was one of those fly-by-night emails that came in and said, look, I can do this a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot better, and you'll get a far less risk. Let me in and I'll sort all that for you. But there was no quote, there was no tender, there was no process other than that single email, and we dismissed it out of hand.
Guided to do a proper tender, but
No,
that's
well, the
not
tenders have been
really-
closed
it's
at
not
that
really
point.
answered my question. I can't see a tender document from Kingsmead which covers that amount, because the only one I've got says it's £74,000, and I believe it says that there could be more, because it mentions about something about when option 2 becomes available.
You are clear that Kingsmead is the architect, aren't you?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm referring to now. The only quotation I've got refers to a part quote, and it's for £74,000.
74.
Yeah,
I don't know where that's come from.
but I can't find anything.
So what is the email? Can you share it? Because I've not seen it.
I didn't bring it with me, but I did write it in to you about it.
I haven't been opening your emails, Martin. I've been flooded by them, so I'll be honest with you. I'll be part
They
of
were
it.
quite important. But anyway, we're not going to get an answer for that. But this is a problem I have with this project, is that as a member of this council, I don't have the full facts in front of me, because I've listed all the quotes, 5 of them. There was confusion of how many there were, and then I sat down and read all the papers again this afternoon, and we had 5 quotes. But none of the figures on the documents that I've been sent today match any of the figures on there tonight.
Can I,
And that's
because we've gone back
confusing.
for clarification on different elements, That's why
But
they,
then we should have
they
a
were initial-
report to point that out.
I think that's what Paul was trying to do.
But he hasn't. So I'm being told these are the quotations and they are different. Like for instance, I won't bore everybody in the room with the whole thing, but one of the companies is called Clark Construction. So I opened the folder. There are 2 quotes in there for 2 options. Both quotes, same day, 2 different amounts. Not significantly different, but to me it's odd. And then there's the worrying thing about them because they talk about either replacing the floor in the main hall, which as you would know, when the cinema wanted it, they were told they couldn't remove it, it had to be covered over and protected, or they could refurbish it. Well, lots of money was spent on refurbishing the dance floor, and it has quite a national reputation, I'm sure the chairman would agree, for being a proper sprung floor. So this whole...
They're just options though.
I know, but their options we're being asked to approve.
No, you're not.
But we're not getting clear options, that's what I'm saying, because we should be sitting here tonight with the final quotes
Councillor
to
Brooks.
decide, and we've not got, you've said you've changed things, but I have no evidence of those changes, and we're being asked to make a decision based on those changes, but I have no evidence that that's been agreed. And, I just find the whole process.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How can the office engage with every councillor at every email or interjection with contractors and suppliers? What has happened is a massive amount of information has come in. That has been assembled. It has been disseminated out to the working group. And then the working group has put together the proposal that sits in front of you now. How is that not giving you the information that
It's
you
not
require?
gone clear because as I said, I've sat here with the quotes and they don't match, but I'm only just being told that work happened on it to alter those figures. Whereas if we were, like for instance, one of my bugbears is as a working group, they should have reported to us as a council each month what was going on. That didn't happen. And, it's typical, and it shouldn't be. And then it causes everybody thinks, because I don't know and I ask, and everybody thinks, oh, he's just being awkward, he's being Councillor Brooks. And it is my job to ensure that this money that is being proposed tonight very clearly says we are going to spend still money at the bottom of that report is done correctly. I'm not supposed to just sit here and rubber stamp it. This whole report is like asking us to rubber stamp. Anyway, if I can, I'm not going to read this thing and then I'm going to finish, but I'm going to edit it because a lot of things were.
Can I just ask you a question, Councillor Brooks? You obviously have followed brilliant work by Councillor Ainsley and Melanie to get this far. You can see in his charts, and I presume you've accepted the fact that certain bids cannot even be considered because we would be bankrupt. And one of them, I believe, was Clark Construction. If we went for that, we wouldn't have enough. So we can't do that.
I'm not disputing that. That's
No,
not
I'm
an
just
issue.
saying, why are you focusing on a bid that we cannot?
I'm not focusing
And I
on
cannot,
any bid.
there are only 2 bids that I can.
Have I sat here and focused on any bid? No.
You just said about Clark Construction, that doesn't.
No, Clark. Because I asked for the final.
Oh, sorry,
bids.
Clark Construction.
Yeah, I asked for the final bids as a councillor, which I'm entitled to make an informed decision, and I'm given documents that are out of date.
No, I'm just saying.
So
Clark
that's where I have a
Construction-
problem. And anyway, can we just move on from that, because people will get cross with me and
No, I'm
it's
not getting
unfair.
cross with you, I'm just making clear that there are only 2 constructors we can consider without going bankrupt.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree, because I think most of them.
We're not being asked at the moment to actually pick a contractor. I mean, if you look at the
Well, no,
prices,
you're
what we
asking
know-
us quite clearly there to do it, appointment of contractors, so you
Well, we-
contradict yourself, the whole thing is you're.
Martin, there's
asking
3
us
above
to
that, there's
know-
1, 2, 3, you're looking, agree the preferred contractor, subject to separate recommendation and authorised progression. Well, let's vote against it.
And
I mean, I
you
really
want-
have no problem that we don't appoint a contractor now. What's important.
Well, this is why I wanted my motion that we weren't doing that part of it,
Well,
but
when
I'm
we
not
get to it,
saying we
let's
walk
move it.
away from the hall. I want my motion because I've picked up on things that have been said, and I'm one of the people who have turned around and said, I don't think these people will come back. And I've listened to the chairman, and actually they probably would come back. But my concern is, and I'm going to edit through this, is that we don't have a business plan. When I asked if we had a business plan, you referred me to the November document, which is not a business plan. It was a report to council. It needs to be looked at and set up in stone. How are we going to pay for the advertising? How are we going to pay for the staff? How are we going to pay for the business rate, which is going to be more than here? We have reports in here which say that we are moving there, or we will move there, and we will save money. The Charity Commission is very clear about it and has taken actions against councillors who have moved into halls, because this is not unique, where they've just gone for their own benefit. There are strict rules that charity must be set up, which we would be the trustee of, and we must pay rent. We must go out and get the market value, which in the centre of town will cost us more than here. We get a good rent here. I'm not objective to that because actually I want the hall open. I like the idea of the flats because it can be done. Nothing's impossible. It happened to the Bank Chambers. A charity from Stamford has created 8 flats at the back of Barclays Bank's offices. So it can be done, but I don't think that's the answer because looking at the deeds of trust, not the deeds of property ownership, it quite clearly states what the money should be used for. So if it was sold, I don't know how the Charity Commission would give the money, but we wouldn't get it. The residents wouldn't get it. It'd probably go to farmers.
We're not there at the moment.
No, but what I'm saying is that we have no business plan.
Would you like to get,
And I'll summarise, but I don't have
no,
that.
if you edit your document,
I am, yes,
I'm
and then I will finish because I don't want to be.
I'm going to then make a proposal, we're going to return standing orders.
And then I want to make my proposal.
Well, allow you to
amendment.
make a proposal.
Yeah,
So,
Um,
in the meantime, we will hear from Councillor Harris.
and also I
No,
sorry, I thought I could
I
finish
started
this.
my,
So we're finished.
and
No, no, I
I
said I
started
hadn't
my
finished.
little speech with an apology to Paul and the rest of the committee, because I do seem to be going on holiday a lot. I'm away next week. I will, if it would help, stand down from the committee and let Martin, Councillor Brooks, take my place. And then a lot of these things can be ironed out earlier. So when it comes to council, for decisions and discussions, so I would happily stand down and let you take my place in the working group.
I appreciate that, but I would decline,
I thought you might.
because I can't work with certain people.
Right, okay. So I'm going to make the proposal
But
at this
I'm-
point, that we return to our stated standing orders. Do I have a second there? Thank you, Councillor Clark. All those in favour, standing orders, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. We are back in session proper. Councillor Brooks, go ahead.
Is this when I can,
If you want to make your proposal, go ahead now.
my proposal, and it is, it is not to say we don't work on this, but I'm even happy, this is why I want to work with Paul on this, because he is the lead of
Apparently
that
not.
working group.
Apparently not, you've just declined to put
No,
it.
but at this stage in public, not behind closed doors. That was a bit, but.
I'll do it again if you want.
So what I need to do is get to a point where there's a proposal where we are spending the money just on the legal advice. I've seen we've already spent for.
Can we curtail this, and if you just make your proposal, if this is what it says, please go ahead now.
Yeah, so I basically want to propose that from this evening, we don't continue with any of the side of the works which involve paying architects or whatever.
Possible.
But we don't own the building, and we have no
Could
responsibility.
you read out?
But then I would like to propose that we do allow the money to continue for the legal process for this council to become the owners and the sole trustee of a charity, which is what would be required. The Victoria Hall charity, we would be sole trustee. And then when we've done that, the working group can come back to council and say, right now we're the owners of it. We can move on with the next stage, because my fear is that if we say, yes, carry on with all this architectural fees, is because a notice has been served to the Charity Commission, and I am using the words of the chairman, he says that he did it.
Say proposal.
We just say proposal,
We could lose the right to take it over. It's on the property.
Can you make a proposal?
I need
But that is the
wording,
proposal.
council books, I need
And the
wording
reason
that
for
the
the
council, the rest of the councillors can follow. So if you start a statement on what you want to go forward with the
I'm
proposal.
not very good at making them.
Well, just
So the
try
proposal is that
and do
we,
it for me, please. to
that we
start.
agree that we do not proceed with any of the
Works.
works
Or the
or the
architect.
associated costs with the architect. It doesn't mean that we're not doing it. We're just putting it on pause. The proposal is we pause it.
Yeah.
But we then agree to continue funding the legal process to, if that's what the charity wants, for us to take over as sole trustees with working with the charity commission.
Can I help? I know you don't think I always help.
No, I don't.
All that you need to say for this proposal is, it's an amendment, it's not a negate, that we, at this stage, as you see, fund only the local process to take over as sole trustees of the charity. That's the wording, all you need. The rest, you don't need to negate, because you're just saying,
But I've made
this
that
is
clear.
my
That was
amendment.
the
And the
intention.
amendment is that only the works for the actual legal process will take place. And then, obviously, once we've got the ownership, you say we go back and then follow through
Yeah.
with the rest. Is that?
Yeah.
Well, that is easy for me to put, and I think do all the councillors understand what this proposal is, or amendment? It's not negating what Paul's put, so I can accept it. So this is a proposal that the only thing we fund, and I think, Paul, which firms was with the legal bit?
Yeah, I'd like to just,
No, just hold on.
Sure.
Just tell me which one's the legal firm we fund.
Anthony Collins.
So the only budget we will spend will be on Anthony Collins with the legal process to take over as sole trustees from the people Tom and the rest who are using it at the moment.
Do we
Then
have
move
money in
forward.
the budget? Because I noticed on
Oh,
the payments,
but-
we've already paid them nearly £5,000 this month.
We've got the silver money, it will
4,600,
come from, clearly it can come from silver money because this is part of the project and it's not a problem, so don't worry about that. As long as all the councillors understand your proposal, which is the only part of this process we undertake at this moment, is to take over as sole trustees using Anthony Collins as our solicitor, and the cost will be,
As on the paper, which is £9,850.
we'll put 10,000 in the budget just to make it clear.
Can I just counter that proposal?
No,
I think it's very important. Sorry, okay.
We need a second. Is there anybody who wants to second that proposal? Sorry, but we need.
Do we have anyone to second that proposal?
No.
That's okay.
So we
Okay, that's fine, I thought I'd try.
Yep, okay.
Councillor Ainsley, would you like to elaborate on?
Yeah, I would like to go through these proposals one by one, and then I'll explain them as we go along, and then you can discuss and vote.
Councillor.
Before we start, can I just ask, something was thrown earlier, Martin said, and I can't remember what it was, that the trustees have said something to the charity commission that may affect things that are going ahead.
Yes, good point.
What exactly was that all about?
I was referring to the fact that the chairman told me that he had notified the charity commission of I think they called it an emergency, is it serious or emergency event?
Serious incident.
A serious incident, and that's what they were required to do, and confirmed in an email. They did it. The serious incident is the fact that the hall has stopped functioning.
So does that make any
It
difference
has
to
to start
anything?
functioning.
No, that
Because-
isn't what serious incident is.
You said it's closed.
Serious incident is that we are in a precarious financial position. Is that going to keep the pool open?
No.
Have you got the dog room? Doesn't that mean so?
Well, hang on, okay, so thank you for clarifying that.
But it should have an effect on
So the
what
serious
happens
incident,
next.
serious incident report has said, in a nutshell, we are in a precarious financial position. We are investigating an option for Oakham Town Council to take over the hall in some way. And the sole trustee is an option, or selling it is an option, the preferred one. Or the third option for us is that we sell it in the open market, securing best value, and the proceeds are then distributed at the behest of the Charities Commission. So that's what that seriously.
Thank
So
you for
it doesn't
explaining.
really affect anything that we're doing as such. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
that's all I want to
excuse the
clarify.
members of the public.
If you are free to leave at any time, you are by no means imprisoned.
The language as well.
All the windows and multi secured.
Thank you very much.
It could have an effect because the charity.
We're not here to
decide
debate. We're not here to debate. That's not the issue at the moment.
But it's something to bear in mind that it could have.
It is true, we're not.
So, sorry, we
No, go
have a response saying that we actually didn't need their consent to sell it.
Okay.
That's not our preferred option.
No, I wouldn't want
Now, I think as long as we are in productive discussion with Oakham Town Council, and of course we will keep the Charities Commission informed of that as steps progress. The Charities Commission are going to step in and upset that potential outcome, which is the best outcome to retain the charity broadly in its current form, doing what it's supposed to be doing in accordance with its objectives and preserving the future of the building. In my view.
Thank you for that explanation.
Excellent clarity, thank you, that's very useful for
It's
consideration.
nice to get some clarification.
Okay, so let's have then, Councillor Ainsley, your proposals as you would like to consider.
Yeah, I'd like to consider the first one, which is scope of works. I think what's essential here is that we recognise that we have quotes that come in for a large amount of work. And then what we're looking to do is to, first of all, stabilise the fabric of the building, that's phases 1 and 2, and then to look at what we need to do in addition to that, which essentially is build the council chamber and refurbish the toilets both downstairs and upstairs as an essential element of the work. So what proposal 1 is trying to say, and it's not committing us to the work, it's committing us to the approach. It simply says, confirm phases 1 and 2 as essential works requiring approval and progression, endorses P3.5 WC reconfiguration and P316 accessible first floor WC as essential elements of the works, approves the phase 3 prioritisation approach, so that's 3A, 3B, and this includes the focus on the council chamber and entrance refurbishments, etc. So what we're saying is that we recognise that the whole project is we're not going to eat the elephant in one big bite. What we are going to do is to stabilise the fabric of the building. That was, I can run slow the slides if you're happy, but that's phase 1 and 2 of the essential structural works. And once the building is stabilised, we'll then also consider doing the WCs because that helps us with the rental facilities. So what the first one is proposing is that we actually adopt that approach. We're not committing to actually carrying out that work right now, but it gives us a way forward so that we know when we get to looking at contractors and spending large amounts of money on the refurbishment, we know which direction we're taking.
To paraphrase, accept the plan.
Yeah, the plan is 1 and 2, and then 3A, that's all 3B, as you wish.
Just quickly clarify, there is no financial commitment,
No, it's simply saying this is the way, this is the way ahead. This is the way ahead. This is, we as a council agree that this is the appropriate steps to take. That's really what we're saying.
But basically, we're not
We're not spending the money now.
It's literally, we're
until we
accepting the
sign
plan.
that dotted line.
Until we've got number 2 and number 3 sorted out, yeah?
So we're accepting that that is the approach that we're going to take. So there's no money being agreed upon or anything committed to at this point. Just we are accepting the plan put forward.
So I propose that.
So you're taking one at a time?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Happy to second
Okay, that's seconded by councillor
Can
Sharp.
I ask a question, please? Would it not be better that we just note that? Because if we're not, what are we
Well,
proposing?
no,
Because I'm reading-
it's been seconded by councillor
But I'm
Clark,
reading
Those
this,
in
but you
favour?
don't give me the opportunity to speak on it.
and those against.
That's all it is.
Okay, that was carried.
No.
So if we talk about the second one, which is the legal work to protect the council investment and establish a robust legal framework. Now, this is more than just saying, let's make sure we've got ownership, let's make, if I can pop the slide up, if that's okay with everybody. So if we look at step one, let me just step back so you can just there you go. So what we're saying, I don't know whether you can see that properly, I do apologise. Yeah, register the builder's ownership of the land registry and charities commission, that's obviously the legal work that has to be done. And revise the charitable objects. So in the briefing notes, there is a suggestion from the trustees of how those objects might look. And that is work that we'd have to do with the trustees and the solicitors to actually agree, and the charity commission, I guess, to actually agree those objects. So that's work by the solicitors. Draft a lease, and this I think is really important, that protects the council's investment. Now, everybody's saying that we should pay market rent. I would suggest that if we're making such a substantial investment, albeit still money, it's not actually the public purse as such, that actually we still need to protect that fantastic, what will be a potentially large investment. So that work needs to be done and clarifies our responsibilities as both tenant and corporate trustees. I think I'm still very nervous personally about the twin-hatted thing. Are we mature enough as a council without proper legal guidance to actually make sure that we manage the twin hats of tenant and corporate trustees? And that to me is really vital work that has to be done. And we have to be, or this person has to be certainly educated in how we might achieve that. So they were quite keen to actually talk us through that and offered us a huge amount of help. You were at the meeting, and they were. And then going forward, we also need a framework to set up how referrals from the future capital works will be funded and agree Oakham Town Council's contribution to staffing and utilities. We're not going to hit the ground running. So there is going to be a time when essentially Oakham Town Council are providing additional staff for a couple of days a week and will be paying more than their fair share of utilities. But that has to be managed. It's not something we can just go in and say, yeah, we'll do it for a certain period. It has to be managed. So that's the legal work. It is more than just saying secure the status of the building. So that's what I'm proposing. Legal works, the council authorised expenditure to 9850, which was the fixed price quote. There were alternative models if you looked at what they proposed, but we could actually take the risk. I think I'm quite risk averse. I don't know about the council. So I'm suggesting we go with 9850. For the revised phase 2 legal work by Anthony College has set out the solicitor's revised fee proposal. It's all there in revised fee proposal. Noting, as Councillor Brooks has already pointed out, we've already spent 4.5. I'm looking at that now thinking, was it 4.6? But whatever, we spent a substantial amount of money already on phase 1, which identified the fact that the trustees, unfortunately, do not have title to the building.
We have a cycle, we don't have a registered time.
I'm sure you're correct. I'm dancing on a pin here, but well done, sir. Yes.
Right, so thank you for that. Councillor Ainsley, do
I
we have
propose
a-
that, yes.
Okay. Do we have a second? Oh, Councillor Brooks, you're seconding.
I'm seconding
Yeah.
Oh, just wanted to check.
Because it's
All-
to get the legal things done properly.
yeah, all those in favour? That's unanimous.
Sorry, can we do that again?
Steady.
The next one.
So I'd like to talk about phase 3 now, number 3, contract manager professional oversight. Now, there have been suggestions. We've already spent £800, which is why number 3 it goes 1, 2 and 4. 3 has already been done, which was actually the wonderful, and I have to say it, the wonderful specifications that we drafted. A lot of work. I don't think, I think that we, as part of this work, we should ask Kingsbury Design, and this is going to cost us 24k because there is additional sum on top of that. If you look at the quotation, you can see there's additional sum. I forget the numbers now. I'm going to throw those 16 something like that, which is actually the policing of the actual work by him and making sure it all occurs. Does that make sense? So once the refurbishment work commences, and if we were to go with the model suggested by council thinks that we actually engaged several different contractors for different phases of work and took the most advantageous route, then we would have to take his advice, and he'd say, whoa, oh yeah, of course.
So he would be contract and site manager. So.
Essentially, he will be overseeing the work, so they'll report to him. And if you look at the, yes, exactly correct. I hesitate to use the word site manager. I think there will be a site manager, but he'll be overseeing the works, and they will be reporting to him, and he'll be acting as our agent, effectively, to make sure that the work is seen as appropriate.
And get to the standard we want.
So I personally believe that we should look to invest that 24k additionally, which is actually so that we can, in parallel with the legal work, look to make sure that we are going to get building consent for the proposed refurbishments. That's phase 1 and 2, and the plan that we've outlined. Building regulations, and the last bit, a formal appointment. Well, that will happen in the contractors once we've agreed, once we've got the fact that we will be moving in, and once we have sorted out what works we're actually going to be doing at the time and with whom. But essentially, we will be looking for that 24k investment. It does not have to be spent at once. It won't all be spent at once, but we're setting a budget that says that we can progress and get to that stage. So that's my proposal. Number 3.
Councillor Brooks, you have a question?
Yeah, and this is where I'm now completely confused. I'm not supporting this because I don't think we should be doing it until we've got the ownership. But up there we have 24,000. On the paper we have 38,000, and then I had that email that said 74,000 with their quote. Where is the document that says that it's only going to cost us 24 or 38, please?
It was given to you earlier in the.
Also, why is there only one quote? This is a huge sum of money, and we should have at least another.
Because
quote.
we couldn't get anybody else in the market.
I have to be careful what I say, but I find that hard to believe.
You may find it as hard as you wish.
There are architects all over the place looking for work. You know, it's not a dying profession.
Special.
It's architects, and I just find it astonishing that we're being told that you couldn't find anyone else.
We couldn't find anybody else to do the tender bit at the beginning, that's what it is.
But I want to know why we have a quote for 74, why this is 38. These are serious things.
Councillor Brooks, listen a second.
I believe on the spreadsheet I sent you earlier, there was all of the consultants that we approached, and we approached various people throughout Rutland as well as nationally, and the knowledge that they needed to have in order to do this effectively, that is the only quote we've got. I'm more than happy to talk that spreadsheet through with you, but there was more than one company approached.
Was this spreadsheet in one of those little Outlook office things that I don't have access to?
No.
Because I've been clicking on them and it won't let me in them.
Well, that sounds like a problem with your computer.
No, that's because Melanie found we as councillors, nobody bothered to
Can I
like.
very quickly, Councillor Brooks, point you to what you raised was the quotations from November 25, where we had 3 architects in the frame, AJ Mills, Edison's and Kingsman. And we approached all of those architects, and the only one that could actually do the work that's necessary, certainly when it came to actually preparing the tenders, was the one that was selected. I don't know whether I can't remember. I do know that we approached the architects. So the
I've never seen that.
You missed an awful lot of documents.
Yes, I was sent a copy of a front page of the document that I
You've
never
had
saw.
that.
You had that not so long ago, so I remember sending it to you, the quotations from November 2025. And I actually sent you the
But
reference.
anyway, it doesn't answer my question of why we got, in my mind.
I'll
just
answer that
say
question now.
two different figures, because when we propose this proposal or accept it or reject it, it should have a correct figure in it, so can we get to the point?
Yes, I'll do that now for you,
Where the
Councillor
figure
Brooks.
is
I'll do that
correct in
for
the
you now,
proposal.
Councillor Brooks. I'll do that.
In the meantime, while we're waiting, I'm going to make a proposal of my own, and that is that we agree to extend the meeting to 9 o'clock if necessary. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Clark, you eager beaver. Thank you. All those in favour?
If necessary.
If necessary, of course. I'm going to count that as Councillor Haynes. I'm sure you'll.
I'm sorry, I did vote, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I've got a member of the council on some.
Bye.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
That's all right, and look, I'll say this whether it was listening or not. this is tough, what you're taking on. This is gonna be a marathon, not a sprint, so good luck to you. I don't have a position either way, I don't wanna see the building go down. Rutland County Council is also monitoring what's happening. But I'm very aware, like every one of you, it's public money, so, yeah, I understand.
Are RCC going to put their hands in their pocket?
Of course
Oh,
Co-trustee.
such naivety from one of such experience, huh?
I'm just old, not experienced.
You were on the council, you know what it's like.
Councillor Ainsley, do you have?
Yes, I just want to clarify the position about the numbers, which is concerning councillor Brooks to the nth degree. What we're saying is here, I had initially assumed we would be going ahead with the full £35,000 for Kingsmead. What has actually transpired is that we're going to look at the 24k as initial expenditure for the work that's going to be done to get the building consent, building regulations, and examine our contractors with adjacent to minor works contract. So the figure that should be in there is authorised expenditure 24,000 for the revised Kingsmead design for stages 1, 2, but not 4. I think that's correct.
So are you altering your proposal?
Yes, in the light of Councillor Brooks'
So you're
numerous statements. So I'm just looking now, actually.
So this is going to be 1 and 2, but not 4.
I'm just checking.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll find it now, can
Take your time.
I will.
I've got till 9.
Have we? We've got hours in.
And then we can.
We're going to have a comfort break or something.
But it's very important to get it right.
It is, yes.
Really?
We have-
I've never thought that.
Should we have a comfort break?
If Councillor Ainsley is
Sufficiently uncomfortable.
coming through.
There we go. So
So,
submission of list of building consent is 20k. That's stage 1. Building regulations application is 4k. Tender action's already been paid for, and we're actually excluding stage 4, so it's 1 and 2.
so it's 24K.
24k.
So alter that
Yes.
to 24K.
Yes, exactly. 1 and 2, and not 4. Excluding 4 will be later on in the contract.
You're crossing out 4 as well.
Yes, yes.
So it becomes authorised.
It's all in the document. You can have a look for yourself.
Authorised, so let's be clear, it's authorised expenditure now of 24K for the revised Kingsmead design fee quotation for stages 1 and 2.
Yeah.
As so, and
Blah,
specification,
blah, blah,
legal advice, blah, 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 blah. Agenda other things.
Noting
Go to
800
the-
already committed to
committed
motion.
to stage 3.
Lovely, that's the
Is that all
proposal.
right, the 800 for stage 3?
It's already done. Yes, it's been approved.
Okay, right, so that's the new amended
It is.
proposal.
So, do we have a second there? Councillor Clark was first off the draw.
I just want to go home.
Considered, seconded by Councillor Watson. There we go. All those in favour? Against? Would you like that recorded, Councillor? No, that's carried.
So I
Item 4, Councillor.
I think it would be premature to appoint a contract at this stage. We've got discussions to be done, so I'll withdraw number 4 for the time being, and we'll have to bring it back fairly soon, I suspect.
Don't vote on withdrawing, do we? No.
No, it's easier than those.
Yes.
Do that.
Number 5, if you can.
Number-
Yeah, so clearly we've made some significant steps tonight. Thank you all very much, and we are looking to progress. We need to get the public's opinion.
Absolutely.
So we initially budgeted for £1,600. We need 5,855, which we're going to distribute. Given the success of our previous UK TOC flyers and how we got so few responses, we might suggest an alternative on that. But essentially, we're looking to spend a budget of £1,600 to hold the consultation in Victoria Hall, a public consultation. So that'd be for banners to go around the town and some kind of distribution network. So, and we'd like volunteers to attend.
No, I don't know. I'll ask a question.
Let's go.
Could I possibly, would you be amenable to be making an amendment that we include our social media channels?
Of course. Sorry, yes.
If that's all right. 'cause
Yes,
that's-
yes. Our new social media channels as well as
Yes.
our new and our existing.
Very exciting ones. Thank you. You go.
No.
Must be your hand, I saw Councillor Brooks.
So what does it look like now then? That we're going to hold a public consultation with a budget of £1,600.
Yeah.
And how, we don't need to detail anything much more than that, do we?
Councillor Brooks.
Small vote question.
Well, the questionnaire is available and we,
Sorry, I'm just going to interject, because Councillor Brooks did have a question, put his hand
Sorry.
up, waited patiently, so let's hear from.
Okay,
Councillor
I have a problem with this, not the concept of it, but surely consultation should have been done a year ago. Because I've had opinions, I don't know, names, but I've had opinions from people that they don't work on that one. So it seems a bit late in the day to be public consultation. But on a positive thing, which includes a bit of a negative, the reason no one saw a leaflet is that the Royal Mail, which I highlighted to people, do not deliver the leaflets unless you have posts. None of my friends received the leaflet. I didn't receive it. My neighbours didn't receive it. So it was a total waste of £400 and something. And what I'm offering to the council, because Mr. Ainsley knows I'm quite capable of doing it, if the council produces enough leaflets, I will personally deliver them for no charge for the council, and I commit.
is that for the whole of Oakham?
Yes, I've done.
5,000 houses?
I've done the whole of Oakham South twice in relation.
That's not the same as Oakham North.
No, but it's huge, and I have done in other things as well, the whole of Oakham North.
Can we minute that offer?
Yeah, it's a genuine offer because it will help me through it's gonna happen in the next couple of months, nice weather, it will help me with my getting back to fitness, because I've put a lot of weight on since I hurt my leg and don't run
Okay,
anymore.
that's
So
irrelevant, please continue.
I know it's irrelevant, but that is a genuine offer that I will deliver the leaflets.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
And I have a trailer on my bike which I can put them in and take them to areas and do it.
Lovely.
And I will do every house if you get enough.
Well,
So we
quite
get
the
a
undertaking.
genuine,
5,040.
hopefully a genuine return to.
Very strenuous, but yes, that will be graciously accepted.
Because last time I did a huge leaflet drop was for those awful Conservative councillors, and I had a pull-along.
We don't need to-
I had a pull-along trailer, which was quite hard work, but this time I'll have a
We don't need to-
bicycle trailer.
I want to go home.
Okay.
Can I just briefly say, Councillor Brooks, you're absolutely right, and I've already had words about this. Public consultation before we engage with the contractors and everything is essential, because we need to be absolutely certain as a town council that they see the figures, which are substantial, and they are willing to back us to do this work. Because yes, we're talking about a 300k project. There's no way we should go to that unless we have everybody on board. That doesn't mean everybody agreeing. Everybody knows what we're committing and how much we're committing and when. And that is, you're right, it is essential. And I very much thank you for your volunteering to actually deliver the leaflets, so we get it to every door, because you're right, that's essential.
But I will do it.
Everybody should have a right to have a say on whether this council spends this money in this way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I very quickly add one addendum, which is not necessarily related, is that if the UK top leaflet, UK town council cultural leaflets were not delivered by post office, can we approach them? Please?
Yeah.
So no problem saying we deliver to that house and that house.
No, it should deliver to
We
everybody.
paid for 5,040 and we paid for only 15.
We didn't.
Yeah, I got one. Well, I got one.
That's good.
Anyway, let's
Okay,
keep this
sorry.
on topic. So then, we've got then the proposal from Councillor Ainsley, which now includes the social media accounts to be used as another source of information for the public. To be, I'm guessing then we'll deliver that in due course.
Which,
Would you like to prepare something to be?
I haven't, I've done that already.
And
Can we-
that Councillor Brooks
No,
is,
can't look at it, no.
Councillor Brooks is committed to delivering these.
Yeah, maybe you
files.
keep, because we don't know whether that's an accurate cost of printing. Perhaps you
We
just
do.
keep that amount
We do.
the same, just in case there's a change.
Yes.
We remember we had the UK TOC print, so we didn't exactly the cost for.
Lovely, so,
I'm happy to second that.
well done, Councillor. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, all that is left therefore to be said for this meeting is thank you very much for your attendance and,
I was going to say, could we also express our
Oh.
gratitude to Councillor Eames for all the work that he's doing and for the presentation this evening.
thank you very much, Councillor Waiting.
Thank you, Councillor.
And I'd like to thank the office staff, I'd like to thank Merlin Palmer for all the work he's doing.
I'm happy with the app.
And I need to be clear before we close this meeting, just be aware, for obvious reasons, this work as we continue will have to be done by the office. And it's not, as Councillor Andrews pointed out, there's a lot of work and we have to get it right. Because there's a lot of money and I'm sure Tom agrees, we've got to get it right, do it properly. We want to do this in a timely fashion, so just be a bit patient with us while we work through this process. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you again on the 13th of May. Appreciate you all. Patience time, thank you.
All you need is roasted blood.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, then we don't have to eat them.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
the only one that eat.
What do you want then?
Number 4, no.
You're happy
I'm glad that it went that way. Everything else is fine.
Yeah.
You have to say we're thinking about it.
I want to. Should we shut the link?
Wait.